Greetings. Long have I waited for your arrival, and finally this moment has come. I am Kerghan, first of the necromancers, voyager in the lands of the dead. I would think not. Although the presence of Aranax tells me you already know much of my tale. At least as much as he deemed necessary in order to bring my life in the world you call Arcanum seems so very distant. The memories clouded like those of a child, and a child I was then, probing the darker magics, given glimpses of the truths yet to come. Yes, look at me, and what do you see? A monster? An abomination? You've no idea what I've discovered. You see with eyes tainted by life, and all which that accursed state embodies. My vision is clear because of those magics you hold in disdain, and the Council. It is they I have to thank for it. In your world, your Arcanum, I was powerful. Perhaps the most powerful human magicka who has ever been. But to humans, cursed with our shortness of life, our brevity, what is this power? What can be learned in that impermanent spark that is our lives? Nothing. But here, in this so-called prison, there are no limits. There is no end. This place, this void, has no time as you know it. I've been here for more than 2,000 of your years, and yet I've aged not at all. I feel as I did the moment they sent me here, or as when the Dark Elves first called to me. Do you now see? Here I can do everything I did in your world, but I am unfettered by the chains of mortality that time hangs upon us. Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it? It was on my ears that their feeble and pathetic cries had fallen. To me, Kerghan, who had defeated their master and thrown him in chains. Kerghan, who had manipulated them into subverting the Panari and weakening the wards. Kerghan, who used them to send me the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan, who have now finished the bridge back to Arcanum. I truly wish I could. My reasons for returning aren't what you'd think. I have no aspirations for power or domination like your companion Aranax did. Aspirations that I became the victim of. No. Those are the motivations of the living, and I no longer place myself among them. If only I could show you the places I've seen, you might understand the things I say. I've been to the desolate lands, wandered by those souls who still see the lands of the living, but wear the cloak of the dead. Blind to their own ends, they cry, passing through one another like shadows in the dying light of day. I've traveled to where souls rot in torment, pierced with the jagged shards of life and vision, clinging to memory, regrets of the flesh. I saw that this prison was of their own making, and the key was in unknowing, in release. And still, I traveled on. And finally, I came to the place where souls go to die, where the mirrored and worn spirits fall into an endless sea of gray, mirrored glass. And I lowered myself within, and lay there among them, and I almost did not return. And do you know what I found there? There, among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable? Peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination, a horrible distortion of the natural order. This life, who mothered pain and fear and envy. These twisted children who exist only because we are here to feed them, to nourish them. This life, this afterthought, a disturbance, a mere ripple in that great dead sea. Not even the cause, but merely an effect, sending these souls upward, screaming for release from the day they are torn from their waters. The effect of what? I do not know, nor do I care. Have you ever spoken with the dead, called to them from this side, pulled them from their silent rest? Do you know what it is that they feel? Pain. Pain when torn into this wakefulness, this reminder of the chaos from which they had escaped. Pain at having to live. There will be no more pain. There will be no more chaos. I see your soul, traveler. It screams, tattered and spent. Do you feel its pull? Do you hear its wailing? It is within my power to calm these waters, and that is...
Hold on a moment. Might I speak with you? What he is saying, it's not completely untrue. I've seen the places he speaks of, felt the peace and serenity of that great dead sea. It's not something I'll ever forget. Of course not. I made my choice a long time ago, and I choose to stand with you. Yes, there is pain in life, pain and loss and sorrow. But there is also joy and the pleasures of growing and learning. You can't have one without the other, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice either. But in the end, I stand with you, whatever your choice.
I can no longer tolerate the atrocities that this thing, this life has brought about. Am I? It all depends on your point of view. Take yourself, for example. You've been told from the beginning of your adventure that you're the second coming of Nasruddin, the return of the living one. Do you believe it? As well you should. There are no prophecies. It's just the nature of living things to want to conform their existence to a foreseeable pattern, to attempt to exert control over the chaos that surrounds them. Life by its very nature disallows this. Life is an accident, the result of random chance. There are those who would look at all that has happened to you, and then look at you, and call you a madman for not believing in the prophecy. Your opinion is based on what you... And why not? I realize that you follow the way of the righteous, or at least that's the role you've decided to play. But you've yet to see the other...
Are you daft, man? Are you not listening to what this madman is proposing? He will kill every living being in both realms, including you. I think you have taken leave of your senses. I will allow you this attempt at a peaceful resolution, even though I doubt it has much hope of success.
Splendid. I've spent the last 2,000 years developing my philosophy, but I'm always eager to hear another's thoughts. Please, proceed. Yes, let us speak of this. It is my opinion that the nature of life is accidental, that this reality we experience is merely a Yes, but what has that experience taught you? I know not the roads you've traveled, but I do know that all living things feel pain and loss. It's my opinion that they feel these things because they were never meant for what we... Yes, you're correct. I concede you that point. But I have seen both sides, whereas you have only the lands of the living. Trust me when I say that the souls who are called back to this life are in the most excruciating pain. It's unnatural. What do you mean? Are you faulting the souls of the dead for the meddlings of the living? But you speak as if these souls have a choice when they're brought back. It's the mindless bravado of the living that subjects them to the vagaries of this life. I'm willing to say you might be correct. But what proof have you? Just because some souls have accepted the nature of this distortion doesn't justify its existence. If what you're saying is correct, then what is the nature of death? Of life? Perhaps it is my own arrogance, my own bravado that has brought us here to this crossroads. The question is, where do we go from here? We've spoken of fate, of prophecy. Have I traveled this road too long to turn back? Perhaps I have no choice but to continue on to the end. Truly, I wish there were freedom for me. But I cannot let go of this life knowing that I might be called back to its pain. No, it seems I have no choice. Really? You can sever the bonds which hold my soul to the lands of the living. This object can actually do that. So many years I've raged against the living. All those years, and the distortion was in my own soul. No man can see the nature of his flaws with diseased eyes. The contradiction lies within me. Yes, I thank you, and I'm sorry. So very, very sorry. Perhaps some souls are born into death. They never knew how to live. Goodbye, traveler. My road ends here. I wish you luck on yours.
Because you delivered the secret ingredient to Jungle Dun, he perfected his alchemical process and eventually found a way to make gold from common lead. Needless to say, he became the richest man in all of Arcanum. The defeat of Lucan and his henchmen, coupled with your freeing of the ghost of Bessie Toon, enabled Shrouded Hills to grow and become a thriving community once again. A new silver vein is discovered in the old Bessie Toon mine. Workers pour into town by the dozens, and within a few years, Shrouded Hills is a bustling boom town. Such towns often have problems keeping the peace. Shrouded Hills has no such trouble, mainly due to the efforts of their new sheriff, Doc Roberts. Don Throg, because of the advice that you gave him, became a leading political activist in the fight for Orcish rights. In time, he legalized Orcish labor unions, secured the vote for all citizens regardless of race or gender, and became the champion of equal rights and justice in Tarant. Before long, he was begrudgingly voted into the Industrial Council, and in a few years, he sat at its head. Following the deaths of Pollock and Darian Mogg, the Boyle was demolished and then built anew. The Bentley was renovated and became the most elegant hotel in Tarant. The owner, the Honorable Mr. Caleb Molloy, is often seen mixing drinks for his guests in the hotel bar. Maximilian was returned to Dernholm, and all of Cumbria rejoiced in the return of their rightful king. Under the new rule of Maximilian, Cumbria quickly grew into a powerful nation, embracing both magic and technology. And once again, the proud banner of the Dragon Knights flew from the ramparts of Dernholm Castle, set there by their new captain, Liana Peldar. Because of your outstanding efforts in negotiating the terms for Caledon's membership into the Unified Kingdom, as well as the wise governing policies of Don Throg, Caledon and Tarant became equally prosperous. there is peace for many years in Arcanum. The long-standing deception of the Panari by the Dark Elves was finally brought to light. Alexander became the new High Priest of the Panari, and he wrote a new chapter for the Archaon based on his experiences with the Living One. Because you convinced the mayor of Blackroot to rejoin Cumbria, there is a small struggle between Maximilian and the Industrial Council concerning ownership of the town. Maximilian was determined to defend his own, and he was successful in doing so. Under the protection of their new king, Blackroot grew into one of the most important port cities in all of Arcanum. Under the continued leadership of Loghaire Thunderstone, the Wheel clan came out of seclusion and rejoined the world. Loghaire himself lived for more than 800 years, and songs are still sung about his bravery and courage. Khan Karai of the Bedokan made a lasting peace with the elves of Kintara, and together they rid the glimmering forests and the dark fens of poachers and of the spoilers of the land. In time, the Bedokan became a more civilized people, sharing in the wonders of the new age. Upon returning to Arcanum, Arronax buried his father on the Isle of Thanatos. Later he traveled to the Vendigroth Wastes, and there used his powers and single-handedly raised the city from the ruins it had become. Vendigroth again became a place of awe and wonder. Yet, after all of this, Arcanum is still what it always was, a place of possibility, a place of change. One thing is certain, and that is that nothing at all is ever certain in this place. Who's to say what the future holds for the land we call